So tell me, Mr. Melli, what did you actually compose and what was your reasoning behind the piece?
So, Hertz is all built around waves. So what I did was to take the spectrum of visible light and the spectrum of sound, which is in terahertz, and then the spectrum of sound of the range of a normal trumpet. And what I did was to create a relation between the hertz of the numbers of the light and the numbers of the trumpet, which gave me in the trumpet a very comfortable scale from more or less G in the G clef, G4 until G5. And this relates to the spectrum of visible light. So I had this chromatic, that's how we call it in music, chromatic scale. And then I recorded it, but the trumpet is based around a harmonic series. So when you have a sound, if you double the frequency of the sound, you have the next octave, and then you can have a fifth, a fourth, a third, and a second. If I add all those numbers, I have 28, which is the duration of the piece and the duration of each section of the piece. So then what I did was to have the 7 colors of the main colors of the visible spectrum, the chromatic scale of 12 notes, divide these 12 notes by the timings of the harmonic series. Then I had the full structure of the piece. So then these colors were added as the visuals, and a recording of Elizabeth playing these notes and the other effects as well, like breathing, so things that bring waves. I did these recordings, I stretched it to 28 minutes, divided by the sections, and when you have 2 recordings that are similar but not the same in pitch, when the pitch is not exactly the same, you create these beatings. So the waves, they don't match perfectly, and what you have is a physical sensation of something like a which is almost a ghost tone. And that built the electronic layer in stereo version in the 2 sides. And then according to what the interaction of the people with the sensors created these bleeding colors into the video that was a fixed videos. And then Elizabeth had a series of parameters that also comes from these relations of light and sound, and she improvised with them according to when people came in front of the sensors and the lights came on stage. And that was the idea for this installation performance, Hertz.
And I think here we're looking at your sketches, right?
These are the sketches. The main sketches for the structure is this one.
Okay, so and did it come out completely as you expected?
Yes, totally. And actually the 4 of us, the 4 artists that made the performance, we were very happy with the result. Like we think that it went very fine. It was very nice to do this performance.
And do you actually think it helps this was in front of an audience of physicists, or you would have done this for any audience?
This is an interesting question because we talked about it in the train back. It's interesting to have an audience that is not made of artists, because usually you perform and a big part of your audience is artists. So it's interesting to have an audience that is not from artists, and the reaction that they had, how they were curious about the sensors themselves, about how in the end how they went to ask about the structure of the piece, and how they were excited to know that everything was coming from the physical relations of sound and light, and how excited they got. That was quite interesting to see. This is very different than what we are used to do.
Okay, well, thank you for this performance. And actually, the title was Hertz, right?
Yeah.
And the production credits go to
Lowe's.
Yes.
So the concept, musical composition, and the production and the regie was by me, Cristiano Melli. Trumpet by Elizabeth Lusch. The visuals, the fixed visuals, were by Anna Hoholi. And the sensors and the system for the sensors were built by Kyriakos Os. So it's a nice team of artists from Los.
Thank you.
Thank you.